Hello everyone, good afternoon. We'll be starting the webinar in 2 minutes. Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar organized by Tamuku, an initiative of Gateway Consultancy. Thanks for participating. If you can hear me, can you say yes on the chat?
Yes, yes.
So there is a chat box on your right hand side. Thank you, Divyanshi. Thank you, Harpal. Thank you, Vishita. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Miracle Foundation. Thank you, President SSH. Thank you, Sabila. Great. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Kumar Gupta. So I am Satyanand. I am the managing partner at Gateway Consultancy. So the next half an hour, we are going to run through an interesting webinar called Sustainable Fundraising Strategies for NGOs in India. These are all information and knowledge that we gathered from various experiences, both internally and from other sources. So we thought that we want to share this experience and lessons that we learned to the NGOs across India so that they can adopt it to their particular context and situation. So if you look at it, so we have structured the webinar in these 4 different components. So first I'll give you a quick overview of what the webinar is about. Then subsequently we'll jump into the current recent trends, what is happening in the fundraising sector among the NGOs in India. And finally we will deep dive into the 10 potential fundraising strategies for fundraising. So that is something that will be the meat of this entire presentation. And third thing, we also thought that we'll give a quick intro on who we are and what we are doing. And if time permits, we can also have a quick Q&A session at the end of this. Great. Going into the concept itself. So I think all would agree that fundraising has slow and steadily has become a much more a tough job. It's not easy. The second point being that uh, people assume that fundraising is an one-time event. But what we believe is that fundraising is a continuous job. It's an ongoing process that the NGO, that the organization needs to engage over the year. And what we are also recently witnessing is that quite a lot of changes in the donor space. The first thing is that there is increasing sophistication that is happening at the donor agency, the kind of technological adaptation that they are doing. Fortunately or unfortunately, the NGO sector needs to cope up with it. The second thing is also increasing requirements from the funding agencies on what they expect from the NGO. The second important thing is that there is growing number of NGOs, and apparently this is creating a lot of high competition within the sector itself. It has both its positive and negatives, but the current trend is that like there is high competition. And finally, the third thing is that what the donor agency, it could be CSR, it could be a foreign agency, it could be an Indian foundation, etc. What they're asking is that they're asking in an end-to-end involvement with the project. So they want to involve in the project designing phase to the monitoring and the protocol phase. So this is something that is we are witnessing within the NGO space. So what we usually suggest is that no more conventional traditional strategies of fundraising would work. So what demands is that a more creative and alternative way of raising funds. And what NGOs should start looking at is that instead of looking at one source of funding, the NGO should start looking at multiple sources of funding. And another concept that we call is that you should start looking at getting small from millions and millions from small, meaning that you should have lot of small donors. At the same time, you should have champion donor agencies who will also give you large, big funds. Both strategy is apparently a requirement now. So what needs to be done is that the NGO needs to prepare itself for the changing trends. What we suggest is that the first thing is that it is necessary now that there needs to be a dedicated fundraising team. There needs to be a lot of preparation at the NGO level itself, or the organization level itself, so that they can avail the funding. Third thing is that it is mandatory now that the NGO needs to build a marketing strategy which will involve a more thorough communication and brand building exercise that needs to be done. And obviously, there are quite a lot of examples within the country as well as outside where we could actually learn from them and employ it in our own context. So now let's get into the 10 potential fundraising strategy. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to have a quick look at it. Then what we will do is that we will go into it one by one. It starts with responding to RFPs or CFPs, call for proposals, until the NGO itself becoming a resource institution. Great. The first very common and a known way of fundraising is responding to call for proposals. What we are witnessing is that previously the idea of floating an RFP, request for proposal, has been only done by few parties. So it was always an email being sent and a document being posted. But not what has happened is that given the advancement in the online application portals, what is happening is that now all the funding agencies, most of the funding agencies are floating an RFP or call for proposal. So our estimate is that almost 75% of the donor agencies are moving into this model of inviting project ideas, inviting concept note, inviting expression of interest from the NGOs, and it has become more like a competitive bidding. And it is the evaluation is being done by the NGOs, by the donor agency, sorry, in actually vetting this interest, vetting this concept notes, and finally selecting the best idea which they seem fit. Most of the time, these RFPs comes with a deadline, and at the best, as an NGO, you will have 30 to 40 days to prepare the project note and apply for it. Again, as per our learning, we believe that there are at least 30 to 40 RFPs that usually comes up in an year on different multiple subsector. It could be on education, child rights, health sector, health technology, financial inclusion, women development, etc., etc. So the duty of the NGO is basically to look out for this opportunity, to actually get information about that opportunity and find the match and actually apply for it. So what we suggest is that we suggest actually start tracking such opportunities. There are quite a lot of wonderful platforms. So Fund for NGOs is there, so which is a very well-known brand. So we ourselves have an in-house brand called Tamuku. There is something called Bond UK International. So they also share information regarding various RFPs and CFPs across the globe. And there is something called Debex, and there's quite a lot of such platforms. And what we suggest is that we suggest all the NGOs to actually start tracking it. What subsequently then happens is that usually there are multiple phases to such RFPs. So usually what happens is that there is an invitation to submit a concept note. It could be like a stage one or a phase one of the entire RFP. And subsequently, if the organization gets selected or the idea gets chosen, the donor agency would invite for a full proposal, which will have both the technical proposal as well as the financial proposal, including the budget, budget heads with a particular accounts division, etc. And even if the NGO passes this stage also, there is something called organization and financial assessment that happens. It could happen either through an in-person visit or through remote phone calls. And finally, the project due diligence itself happens. So this RFP actually happens, goes through such various phases, and only then the release of funding happens. And it becomes an 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year partnership based on the particular RFP protocol. The interesting thing that what we found is that based on our experience in writing number of proposals, almost 40 to 50% of the proposal requirement is on organization information. It's not about the idea itself, but on the organization information. The reason that I'm pinpointing here is that what happens is that unfortunately the NGOs, most of the mid-size, low-size NGOs, do not have a proper information management system within their organization. So what happens is that this makes their the speed and the efficiency at which they can apply for RFP. So what we suggest is that all the organizations should have an information in a retrievable format, so that they can use it and apply for an RFP as quickly as possible and as frequently as possible. So what happens is that it increases your frequency at which you are applying for RFP. So it always comes with a deadline, so you can actually write more quickly. So this is an important point that we want. This is the first way of raising fund. The second way is proactively approaching donors. What we mean by this is that despite the fact that there are a lot of RFP kind of invitation, there are still funding agencies who do not post any RFPs. So they simply accept a project note or a proposal note from NGOs throughout the year. There is no deadline. There is no deadline happening. There is no format available. There is no online application form to be filled up. What the NGO needs to do is that they need to do an opportunity mapping of who are such funding agencies that are available, and subsequently start applying for it. There are quite a lot of portals again, which actually provide such database of funding agencies, and you should start availing it. The immediate thing is that you should find them, and you should start including them in their emailing list. So usually they have their email ID posted on their website. Read about them, research about them, see what they have done, see what they have granted previously in their engagement. Send them a concept note. Don't send the full proposal note. Send them a simple concept note, say a 2-page, 3-page note, and subsequently start the conversation between you. Don't immediately ask for give me funding. So please start the conversation and get their buy-in into their idea and slowly build up it. So what happens is that based on our understanding, it usually takes 3 to 6 months for this to happen. Since there is no deadline on both the parties, there is no liability to reply or respond to it. So what we suggest is that wait at least 3 to 6 months, but the initial phase is to actually start the conversation between you, the NGO, and the funding agent. The key point being that there is continuous effort needs to be done. There needs to be constant communication between you and the donor agency. And what we found is that there is high rate of success in such kind of applications. So the point is that actually finding them and actually start having this conversation with them, start communicating with them about your organization. Subsequently, see if that can convert into a funding engagement. The third thing that we want to talk about is CSR and BSR. By CSR, we mean corporate social responsibility, and by BSR, we mean business social responsibility. Let me explain what it is. We know that there is sort of a dearth in the funding donor agency space. A lot of funding agencies are actually shutting down. There is also an aggregation of funding agencies that is happening. The interesting thing about the Indian context is that the notion of CSR is actually uh, gradually picking up, and there's a lot of CSR investment that is happening in the social sector space. And what we believe is that CSR going to be a very major source of funding opportunity. What needs to be done is that as an institution, as an organization, you should start researching about the particular company that you want to reach out to. So there is something called CSR policy that every company has, and it's usually available on their company website. Start accessing them, read about them. You should find out what are the areas that they are supporting. So if you are say a health-based NGO, you should not go and ask to a CSR which has a policy mandate to fund an organization which is working in education. They'll simply not be interested in you because you are working in health and they are interested in education. So it's going to be a tough job to sell it to them. So it's better to actually find a common platform where their CSR policy aligns with your project intervention. The second is also there are few CSR which has a geographic constraint. Even though this is not mandated as per the CSR law, but as per their part of their CSR policy, they usually prefer to work in the vicinity of where the manufacturing unit is, where the industry is, etc., etc. And also, you should know what is the budget availability so that you can actually propose them a proper financial budget. And there is a process of application that happens. So, for example, organizations like for example, HCL has actually an RFP model of inviting proposals. So there is an actually a HCL grant application. I think it recently closed their application. It happened in May something, beginning of the May, and it's an online application form. But there are other CSR which invite are open for application throughout the year. So you should see how their processes happens, whom to apply for. It's usually the HR head who is actually responsible for the CSR mandates. So you should actually reach out. So on your end, what is the to-dos of the organization? So you should start mapping the company based on their interest. So there are fantastic portals like CSR Box, India CSR, Samhita's Good CSR. So what these people have done is that they have actually curated the entire CSR space, and they have actually studied what the fund allocation that is happening there in terms of projects that is being provided, the process of application, etc. So please start availing the resources there. Try to find references within the company and start learning about them and reaching out to them. As I previously said, find their particular project of interest, which is usually available in their CSR report. Start working towards it. Preferably present in a backward manner. So what I usually suggest is that present what your project can do instead of actually detailing the issues. So what happens is that the people in our NGO sector, so I'm also from the sector, so we are so caught up with our issues, the problems, rather than what the benefit our project could incur. So the CSR agencies are usually interested in the benefit the impact that will happen. So it will be better to actually sell them the benefits rather than the issues. They already know the issues. You should tell them what is the value addition that you are going to do in terms of solving that issue. And there is a fantastic opportunity of engaging their employees in your organization in terms of volunteering, in terms of getting per day salary they usually donate. So there are a lot of opportunities to engage. So as I was previously saying, this is CSR part of it. There is also BSR. There are a lot of industries which do not fall under the gamut of CSR, but still they do a lot of funding. It could be a local garment unit, textile unit, could be a local manufacturer or anybody like that, food processing unit, etc. Go reach out to them, talk to the owner, talk to the board there. Definitely, they might be interested, and and you can find a match. And fourth one, an interesting part that is actually coming up is online fundraising. There is a statistics that says that the online fundraising impression in India by Indians is actually on an increasing trend. So Indians are giving to Indian NGOs. So that's a fantastic thing, and there are a lot of Indian platforms which support and host Indian NGOs to actually avail grants from various sources. So as I was saying, you should start getting small contribution, 100 rupees from 1 lakh people. So that is a strategy that you should start employing instead of just looking at one big champion. So there are interesting portals like Global Giving. So Tamuku, which is an initiative of Gateway Consultancy, is an Indian referral partner for Global Giving. We support NGOs to actually apply to Global Giving and set up the project page for the NGO on Global Giving. There is also an interesting portal, which is a well-known portal called Give India, Better Place. There are n number of places, Milab, Keto, so you can start availing them and start raising donations. And more than that, you can also start raising funds on your own website. So there are fantastic payment gateways. So InstaMojo, Razorpay, Paytm. You can register your organization there, and they usually give an embed link, which you can host it on your website. So if somebody looks at your website and says that I want to donate 10,000 rupees, you can give that link to them, and they can easily avail. It's like 5 minutes cash transfer, just like getting goods from any online marketplace. And what we usually suggest, the campaign mode is a preferable mode when that giving mode is there. So during New Year's time, Diwali time, Christmas time, when the festive mode is there, when people are willing to give. So during that time, you can run a campaign and start this one. Again, we suggest having a dedicated person team, at least during the campaign mode, so that they can follow up on it. And again, once they start donating it, keep them updated, keep them informed. They can become your ambassadors in the future. The fifth interesting model that is actually pretty unknown in an Indian contest is actually community-based business thing. The idea here is that instead of looking at the community as beneficiaries, you look at them as partners. Let me explain. So this concept is basically inspired by none other than Mohammed Yunus, who talks about the concept called social business. What he's talking is that as an institution, you can actually provide service to your community base. Look them as customers, look them as clients, and you can actually promote both as individual entrepreneurs as or promote collectives. In fact, what we are seeing is that in success cases, the community actually pays for the services, and the profit is usually shared both between the community and the NGO. There are wonderful legal possibilities that is available. As an NGO, you cannot actually avail any fees. So what we suggest is that you promote CBOs, community-based organizations, in different forms to actually do the services. The concept of producer organization is coming up. The act itself was passed in 2002 actually, and only now in the past 5 to 6 years it's gaining momentum. And the notion of farmer producer company is fast catching up. I think if you're an NGO working in livelihood space, you should start thinking of actually promoting producer organization. It could be anybody. It need not be just farmer producer organization. It could be, we know, off-farm producer companies, handicraft makers, honey collectors, farming groups. So what happens is that NGO is the promoting entity, while the CBO is while the farmer producer organization or whatever it might be is the community-based organization. So you become a group of institutions. And another interesting thing is that like promoting Section 8 company as part of your collective, and of course there is a possibility of promoting cooperatives as well. Another interesting thing, well-known thing that is happening is that uh, providing access to finance uh, through an entity in this. So we know that there is a big demand for credit, and there has been a lot of regulation that is happening there, which is actually helping the NGOs to actually do a lot of things. The conventional model, I mean, when the SSG movement happened, there is a notion of there was a moment where they promote a lot of SSG movements, SSG federations, which is usually legally registered as societies, but unfortunately there is a problem in terms of how they can operate. So what we suggest is that let me come to the point. What we suggest is that there is a possibility of promoting different varieties of legal entities within your collectives. For example, you can set up a non-banking financial corporation, NBFC. You can actually promote Section 8 company, which could be a sort of a bank promoted by you. It's not exactly a bank; it's a bank promoted by you. For example, there is well-known examples: Sangamitra promoted by Myrada. There is Kalanjiam Development Financial Services promoted by an NGO called Dan Foundation. There are wonderful examples that is happening there. So once you become an entity, you can start promoting this microfinance institution, which will provide financial services to your community in variety of ways. And this is an interesting concept called development tourism. And of course there's always demand for tourism in India, and this notion of tourism with purpose, development tourism, tourism with social good is apparently fast catching up. And our suggestion is to actually leverage and capitalize this. There are even people who are willing to do this one night stay with the rural community. And the beauty of this is that it's done as a business venture, and it's a win-win situation for all parties. It is win-win situation for the tourist who comes here, who has a good experience. The community earns. There is stakeholder awareness that builds. Now obviously as an NGO, you actually get this connect to the tourists themselves, who can become potentially your ambassador in the future. So this is an opportunity, particularly people in tourist hotspots, NGOs living in tourist hotspots. You can start promoting this. Another very underutilized mode of fundraising is engaging volunteers. Why engage volunteers? That's a question that is often asked. Obviously, apparently there is growing interest among people to actually participate in this social movement. They want to provide their services in terms of skills to the social sector, either abroad or even even in Indian context, people are ready to give their skills for a social cost. And usually, what happens is that they usually come at no or low cost. And the beauty is that the third point, they can actually become prospective donors in the future. They can become ambassadors for a NGO. So we have seen so many people who have become converts, meaning that they actually go back to their place and start raising funds for your NGO. That's the beauty of this. So they not only just give their skills to your NGO, but if they like what you are doing, they actually go back and become your ambassadors. And as I was previously saying, it's a win-win situation for everybody. But on the other hand, you should start preparing. You should have a clear volunteer JD, job description. What is the expectation? You should have a proper volunteer management process in terms of communication, spending time with them. Safety is a major part. So you should start doing that. The beauty is that there are fantastic online portals like iVolunteers, Om Prakash, universities, which you should start getting such volunteers from, and people are ready to do it. Yeah, as I was saying, I think you must have heard I was using the word ambassadors quite often. Another way of formalizing it is something called friends of NGO. So you know there are a lot of Indians working abroad. What you can do is that you can connect with them and actually promote a formal or an informal entity who will be connecting with your NGO. So what we usually define is that like friends of your NGO in that respective country, and those people become your ambassador and raise funds for. So what through them, what you can do is that you can actually raise funds. They will raise funds for you, uh, get volunteers for you. For example, if they are coming to India, they can actually be a tourist. They can actually be an intern, a volunteer, and they can actually be a fundraising person for you and actually give you, provide you with skill support, provide you with technology support, even help you in raise funds. So this is a potential opportunity for you. As I was saying, they can also be tourists for you. And we have n number of examples of NGOs doing it, both in India, Nepal, even in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, it's a tourist hotspot. The reason why we are talking about India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka is that this is where we are working. Gateway Consultancy is working. That's where the good examples are there. The point here is that you should start building this community, the friends of your NGO community. You should have constant communication with them, and you should make them feel as part of your internal core group, and that's where the success lies. And last but not least, uh, the interesting notion of your NGO becoming a resource institution for other NGOs. So India has, in that way, has a rich heritage of social sector. There are NGOs who have been working for past 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. We suggest is that just like you are facing issues, you have faced issues in the past. There are NGOs, which are new NGOs or old NGOs, who are facing such issues. What we suggest is that we suggest you to identify key strengths. What are your strengths? And start productizing it and give trainings to the NGO. You can actually offer such trainings to the NGO, and actually this could be a revenue model for you. Unfortunately, our thing is that there are fantastic stalwarts in the sector, but the knowledge, the wisdom from those leaders in the NGO sector is not getting passed on to other organizations, or the second line leadership is not being built. And you can actually think of building your NGO, building your organization into a resource institution, and you can offer training to other NGOs, MSW graduates, entrepreneurs. You can help people in recruitment. You can help people in project development, even in statutory and legal compliance. You yourselves can become a resource institution for other NGOs and to potential opportunity. Yeah, that brings us to the end of this one. I know I was quick, but as I was saying, this is just a primer on what are the potential opportunities available for this one. And I'm going to take another quick 2 minutes to talk about our organization itself. Sabila is asking, will I share the slide for the webinar? We will share it. We will share as a PDF document to you so that you can actually get it and you can use it. And we will also try to send you some discounted products that we have prepared. You can have a look at it if you want. You can use it. So coming back to the slide. About our Gateway Consultancy. We are an young growing social enterprise. We offer techno-managerial support to various NGOs, social enterprises, and individuals. So we started this in 2016, and what has happened is that we have so far raised 10 crores for variety of NGO partners. We have trained 50 plus NGOs on fundraising and allied services. Currently, we are mentoring, closely working with NGOs uh, and fundraising. So one of the services that we do is Tamuku Alerts. It's an initiative by Gateway Consultancy where we provide alerts to it. And thanks to Unnati, she just now asked a question saying that some of your links are not working. Unfortunately, we are also working with that, and sometimes the link is alive for 5 days, suddenly it disappears. So it's a glitch that is happening, and we'll try to address it as much as possible. So type of clients that we have is we have supported CBOs, we have supported NGOs, INGOs, donor agencies, NGO support organization. Currently, we are working with organization in 4 countries: India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Netherlands. And a few of our clients and partners, Deshpande Foundation, Nudge, Global Giving, Galapagos, Terrace Homes, Vidyaniketan, etc. etc. Here is a quick outlay on services. These are the products that we are currently offering: Tamuku Alerts, Tamuku Premium Services, and fundraising. I just want to take some time on this fundraising essential package. So one of the idea is that we want the NGO to be donor ready. Even before you sit and write the proposal, what you should need is that you should have a proper system to streamline your information and document, so that you can actually increase your speed and efficiency at which you are applying for a proposal. We have prepared a document. It's a 50-page Google sheet, which any NGO can use and start preparing for it. And what happens is that it becomes a one place source for all the organization information. So I highly suggest all the NGO to please start pulling all your information, all your documents in one place. This is one of the biggest problems with our NGOs, and highly recommend doing that. There are also other services that we do, services and consulting we do. We do advisory services are remote services. Thanks to Kumar Gupta for asking that. I think this should answer this one. These are all the services. We do something called donor mapping and prospective research for a particular NGO. We also do fundraising strategies for NGOs. We actually write proposals also. We design the concept note, we write proposals. We also give trainings and webinars, conduct dialogues, interactive sessions. We provide techno-managerial support, like prepare them, manage their website, documentation support, conduct a lot of M&D work, baseline impact studies and evaluation. So in a just these are the products and services and consulting we are offering, and of course we want to reach out to more people. And the fundamental idea is to impact more community at large through the NGOs. So that's the fundamental premise of what we are doing. Yes. So somebody was asking our contact this one. So please look at our website. If you need any support, you can reach. Unnati, thanks for the question. It's 3:35. I think if people are ready, we can take another 5 minutes for a quick Q&A session. You can actually type in your Q&A in the chat box, and I'll try to address it in this one. So what are the crucial documents to be kept ready apart from the achievements? Quite a lot. There are quite a lot of document that is being asked by the donor agency as part of the due diligence process. Let me give you an example. There is a due diligence process that we did recently. The donor agency is asking for the resume of the accountant of that NGO. Unfortunately, we don't have that in place. A lot of NGOs don't have that in place. Very unfortunate. The reason that donor agency is asking is that I'm going to give you 3 crores. I want to know the capability of your finance officer. I mean, how many of your NGOs have updated resume of your finance officer? So I cannot answer it immediately. It's a big checklist. I'll send you the link to the fundraising essential document as part of this one, along with the feedback. The second question: what is the cost for writing proposal? It varies. So we don't work on a commission basis. What we work on a time estimate basis. Some proposal take 3 hours to write. Some proposal take 3 days to write. It depends on the time required for the kind of proposal that needs to be done. Any other questions? Any other question? Please feel free to type in. So there's one question I think I missed. How to productize the NGO? Interesting question from Shiva sir. So you cannot productize the NGO. You can productize the services that you're offering to this one. So, as an NGO, you cannot do an income generating activity. It is not part of the legal framework. But what you can do is that you can offer your services and you can do a service charge for an NGO. And is there a platform for that? No, sir. You need to internally develop those offering. So you can become that resource institution. We can do that. So Sonali is asked, we requested to send us proposal. How can let us have this conversation, Sonali. Unfortunately, we are also dearth of time, and we are trying to let us have this conversation. Please do write to us, and we can see how we can accommodate your request in the future. I mean, one thing I wanted to respond as part of Sonali's question. So the fundamental philosophy that we work with is that yes, as a consultancy agency, we can write proposals for you. But on the other hand, you should remember that that's not a sustainable way of doing it. More better alternative solution is that get yourself trained, get your staff trained, build your internal capacity to write a proposal. I know it's not going to happen in day one, day two, or even a year. But my suggestion is that it is always better to build your internal capacity, build your staff capacity to raise funds, either for writing proposal or online fundraising or whatever might be. So we always have this policy in Gateway Consultancy. We ask when we can get out of this engagement. We always go out with an exit strategy. We just don't want to have a very long-term continuous partnership with an NGO because we don't want to create that dependency on the consultancy, either us or anybody else. So our preference is actually to build the internal capacity of the NGO. We can do a handholding support. So where we work with the NGO to write the proposal, and slowly what happens is that we do only critical review, and finally 90% of the proposal is done by the NGO. On the other hand, uh, the, the remaining 10% alone is done by Gateway Consultancy. Oh, good question. Good question. What will happen if two people are asking? We deny it, sir. Courier post sergeant. We deny it. We simply deny it. Uh, we are picky in a sense in a lot of ways. Both because the reason is that uh, we don't want to do this dependency syndrome. The second is that we are also a small team. We unfortunately cannot support uh, 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 accommodate all the requests. That's the thing. No mention of in the strategy of fundraising. There are no mention of individual fundraising except the digital bit. Digital is just a vehicle through which you do this individual fundraising. You can always do in a lot of ways. For example, we helped actually 4 5 NGOs and a couple of community-based organizations to do something called donation boxes. And these donation boxes were placed in, say, like hotels, restaurants, and that we actually prepared a donation policy document for that particular NGO. For example, there should be 3 keys for the lock of the donation box. One should be with the hotelier or the person who have put. One should be with the NGO. One should be with the community person. So these are all the things that should be happen where you raise individual fundraising through various platforms. So digital is one way. You can also do physically also. Different ways of that. That is highly important. Uh, Online payment gateway. Please Google and search about InstaMojo, Razorpay, a lot of things. They are very much. A lot of information is there. You can register it quickly. It's a very simple process, and you can do that. I mean F2F and telemarketing. F2F and telemarketing, we have heard of such things, but we don't have personal experience. We have heard of people who are doing that. We do not have personal experience on that, on telemarketing and telereach. I heard you have a template of 52 pages or so. Organization perfect. Where can I get? Siva sir, I'll send it as an emailer with all the resources that is available. Krishna is asking, how common is the competition with NGOs? In lot of competition, sir. Lot of competition. A lot of competition is there in similar domain in raising funds. I'll give you a quick statistics. I'll give you a very quick statistics. CSR funding. Apparently, CSR funding. The majority of allocation is for education NGOs. On the other hand, donations from fund allocation from donor agencies is usually for uh, community-based development projects. So which one you want to push? If you are an education-based NGO, you will have high luck with going and approaching a CSR. If you are a non-education based NGO, if you are a grassroots NGOs, I suggest start exploring a lot of RFPs. Interestingly, there are a lot of RFPs which are coming up with consortium model, violation model, and which is like a generation one model of raising funds. A network of NGOs are being asked, so you should start. Uh, yes, yes, Sonali. So we will try. We will see how we can work together, Sonali. Great. It was an interesting conversation that we had. Unfortunately, we have to close now. And in future, we'll be doing a lot of more such seminars and webinars. And we are also planning to do more physical trainings, physical training workshops, both in-house as well as in a seminar workshop model. We'll keep you updated, and please start exploring it. Uh, and start if at all any doubts, we can always give you this one. But please note that we cannot accommodate all requests. We also do not want to create any dependency on us. But feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to Tamuku, and all the best on your fundraising process. I'll be sending information, this PPT along with the feedback survey. Please feel free to fill that, and please feel free to reach out to us if at all you need any other information. Thank you, Kurian sir. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Harpal. Thank you, Rajendra. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Good day.